The mayor is signing in right now.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Deborah is signing in here, so just, there she is.
Hi, Kyle. Sorry.
Hey, Deborah. No problem. We're ready to begin when you are ready.
Okay. I'm on intermittent fasting. If I go past my time, I won't be able to eat till tomorrow.
No.
All right. Call to order the regular meeting of the Rio Dell City Council. Roll call, please.
Mayor Garnes,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson,
Here.
Councilmember Carter.
Here, and hopefully you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay.
Councilmember Wilson.
I guess here, I guess you said me.
Yes, thank you. Councilmember Woodall. Is Julie here? Councilmember Woodall.
I don't see her number.
Okay. City Manager Knopf.
Here.
Chief of Police Connor.
Here.
Finance Director Dillingham.
Here.
Community Development Director Caldwell. Water Superintendent Jensen.
Here.
Wastewater Superintendent Taylor.
Here.
And City Clerk Donovan's present. Thank you.
I will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We are returning from closed session with no action taken, nothing to report out. Ceremonial matters. Appreciation to the Rio Dell, Scotia Chamber of Commerce and community volunteers for decorations. Page 1 in our packets.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes, members of the council. So I don't often get to do these ceremonial items, but I'm really honored to be able to do this one tonight for you. So I did issue a letter to the council that is attached to the packet, as Mayor Garnes just mentioned on page 1, that I'm going to just read right now. And it's entitled Special Recognition for the Chamber of Commerce related to holiday decorations. So for many years now, the Chamber of Commerce has led an annual effort to decorate Rio Dell for the holiday season with lights, trees, and seasonal displays. As the temperatures drop and the nights grow longer, residents and visitors alike are provided with a positive and festive environment in December that just keeps getting better and better each year. In fact, the effort has now expanded to include the Eagle Prairie Bridge that connects Rio Dell to Scotia. No great effort happens by accident. It takes a lot of muscle, time, and resources to do this each year and to keep the momentum building year after year. I know we all want to take a moment to recognize those efforts and thank those who help make this magic happen. So the Chamber of Commerce has submitted a list of just some of those who are responsible for this year's decorations. Certainly not an exhaustive list, but I'm going to go ahead and read through it right now. Gail and Rich McKnight spent several days putting up lights and organizing for the events this year. Jenny and Sierra Gilham, along with Jody Angeloff, decorated the trees and helped with the Memorial Park lights. The Rio Dell Volunteer Fire Department personnel provided help with many aspects of the effort for this year. Mayor Deborah Garnes and Elizabeth Warren helped with the cutout ornaments in the medians along Wildwood Avenue. Susan Pryor and Tracy O'Connell organized and helped with many aspects of the displays. Tim and Melissa Marks helped put up the tree, Memorial Park lights, and helped to organize these efforts. Jim Brickley created the City Hall lawn display, lighted the gateway sign, decorated the chamber, and prepared and deployed the cutout displays along Wildwood Avenue. Stop and go traffic, Wes and Nancy Nally, the fire department, Shane Wilson, Mike Jensen, and Miguel Maris were key to the lighting of the Eagle Prairie Bridge, and Mayor Garnes was there as well. Dawn's Rental and Sunbelt Rentals have contributed via reduced rates for man lifts. So additionally, as the council is aware, the council has made funding available to help contribute towards these efforts for the past several years. And last but not least, Nick Angeloff has been inspiring and implementing the annual decorations for many years and is the key player in the effort and its expansion. So please take a moment to thank these volunteers and to encourage them to keep going. Thank you.
Thank you. And a round of applause for everyone. That's really good. Thank you, City Manager. And now I'm just going to I'm going to reach out to each council member in case they wanted to say anything. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes. Certainly Rio Dell is much more festive now with all the work that Nick has shepherded over the last 5 or 6 years, and highly appreciated. Thanks a lot, Nick and crew.
And Councilmember Carter.
Thank you. Lights are the best part of Christmas in a lot of ways. So thank you so much, Nick, and everybody else who participated in this. I went to the tree lighting on Saturday and the truck parade, and everything was so good and so well organized. And especially having a lot of the stuff canceled last year, it felt really good to be able to do a little bit more of that stuff this year. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wilson.
Yes, and a big shout out to Nick and the chamber and all of the other ex-council members that participated. It's just great to see the recognition given to the members of the community that did this. Thank you.
And Councilmember Woodall.
Yes, thank you for taking time this year to do this because it's really important. I've watched most of the people year after year doing this, and they come back every year, and it's just getting better. And I'd really like to take the time to thank Nick, because even though I saw all these people up there helping most of the time, there were a lot of times I saw Nick up there on that lift by himself, putting lights up on some of the buildings downtown. And several times he was down there by himself on the lift, putting the lights on the trees. And he really does a fantastic job, and he always has. So I thank all of you for participating. You did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Woodall. And I agree. Thank you to everyone involved. Thank you so very much, Nick. You have all made this town look so great, and it's something that we can all take pride in, and we can hold our heads up and say, you know, we're as good as any other city up here because we know how to decorate and we know how to show our holiday spirit. So thank you so very much, everyone involved, and especially Nick. You're just awesome. So next year, we did think about a little Halloween, but maybe we can have a Halloween contest. But anyway, thanks so much, Nick, and for everyone involved. And now we will move to public presentation. Let me stop. Are there any hands raised or emails?
There is one hand raised.
Oh, there's Nick. Hi, Nick. Oh, there's two hands. I think, Nick, go ahead.
He's currently muted.
Is he there?
Okay, got it.
There he is.
I got it now. Can you hear me now? Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. And let me tell you, I forgot Lisa Wilson in the auxiliary. They served hot chocolate at the tree lighting ceremony, and the Community Resource Center also contributed. They provided gift bags for the kids, and this year we had an inordinate amount of small children at the tree lighting ceremony. And let me tell you, that's all I need for gratitude. Seeing the smile on the kids, the fire department, and Santa was leaving and hopped into the fire truck, and fire department even let him jump up and take some pictures in the fire department on Santa's lap. It was just wonderful to see. There were a few people who came actually from out of town, Arcata area, to see the tree lighting ceremony this year, and they will be back next year. This should grow. So it's starting to work, I think, bringing people into town. There was a big bump at the store that's in the chamber now, my mother's garden. And the next year, everyone loved the bridge. It was difficult, but I think we'll go ahead and do it again next year, if Caltrans permits. And next year, I think we need to make it more contiguous down the line, both at the beginning of town and in the Wildwood district, if you will, the old town. But I think we're getting close to, and Sunday we got to light up the Scotia Inn as well. They are now participating too. So
Yay.
It's been just wonderful. So thank you guys very much. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
And a 9687.
Hi, this is Kelly from Margaret Advisors. I'm actually raised my hand to speak on the next item, but I did want to say thank you also from us. We are looking forward as a new business in town to participate in the Chamber's competition for decorating our office, our windows and such. And the activity that's happening around town by the city has been really, really wonderful to see. And we really look forward to joining and supporting this festive environment. And we're very glad when our clients come to visit our office to kind of, put a smile on their face as well as they come into town and see the festivities going on. So thank you very much for that. We appreciate it.
Thank you. And seeing no more hands raised, and I'm thinking no emails. No one's, Karen didn't.
No, not on that subject.
Okay. Then we will move to public presentations. This is the time for persons who wish to address the council on any matter not on this agenda and over which the council has jurisdiction. As such, a dialogue with the council or staff is not allowed under the Ralph M. Brown Act. Items requiring council actions not listed on this agenda may be placed on the next regular agenda for consideration if the council directs, unless a finding is made by at least 2/3 of the council that the item came up after the agenda was posted and is of an urgency nature requiring immediate action. Please limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. We have 9687. Please go ahead. Well, 9687, you need to unmute, please.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. This is Kelly Flores again from Margro Advisors. I wanted to raise your attention to the fact that the state of California recently announced its inflation adjustment to increase the state's cannabis cultivation tax, despite a massive deflation of cannabis prices in the wholesale market. And as a result, farmers who sold flower product last year for, say, $1,400 a pound are now forced to sell their product at $300 a pound to pay their bills. And due to the state's fixed dollar tax rate, those farmers will be asked to pay what would be equivalent to a 53% tax rate of $161.28. Now, while the remaining leaf or trim products some of our farmers have had to offload for $15 a pound. They'll be charged $48 per pound in state taxes. At that price, they'd be subjected to a 320% tax rate. So I've submitted through the email a chart on the tax impact that we're seeing. As these prices go down, farmer revenue goes down, the impact of these taxes becomes dramatic. Now, this tax increase is taking place at a time when the state is seeing a $31 billion budget surplus. That's billion with a B. And as craft and cannabis businesses, as well as other small businesses in our community, are struggling to survive. This cultivation tax is less than a quarter of all cannabis tax revenue collected by the state for the industry. Yet it is having the most detrimental impact to the local cannabis farmers. This cultivation tax not only takes funds out of our local community, but a market collapse also threatens the local cannabis tax revenue for the city of Rio Dell itself. Now, we're requesting that you consider sponsoring a resolution to send a strong message to the governor and the state legislature that its cultivation tax needs to be eliminated if there's any chance for our legal farmers to compete with the illicit market. And I've sent a drafted sample resolution to you in PDF as well as an easily edited Word form. A similar resolution has been presented to the Humboldt County Board of Supervisors as well as the Mendocino County Board of Supervisors. It's been approved by San Francisco and Oakland, and we ask that you join these and other municipalities in participating in this effort by placing this on the next meeting agenda. We ask that you show your support for the legal industry and demand that we retain these critical local funds where they're needed most here in Rio Dell and in our county of Humboldt. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, and thanks for sending the PDFs in the Word. Are there any other hands raised or emails?
No further hands raised at the moment.
I do have one public comment.
Would you please read it?
Sure.
Thank you.
It's addressed to the Mayor Garnes and City Council members. I'm writing to express my extreme disappointment in a recent decision of the City Council related to the destruction of firearms. In talking to my neighbors and members of the community, it seems that there's an overwhelming percentage of Rio Dell citizens that feel the same way. The majority of Rio Dell residents are law-abiding citizens and strongly believe in the Second Amendment and the right to keep and bear arms. Come on, folks, this is Rio Dell, not Oakland. Weren't each and every one of you elected to represent all the citizens of Rio Dell and not just a selected few? You should all vote on issues only after careful consideration and do what is best for the community, not what is best for you as an individual. Apparently, these firearms were confiscated by the Rio Dell Police Department and never returned to their rightful owners for one reason or another. There are laws that prohibit criminals from owning firearms, and that is understandable, but to take firearms that are useful and have monetary value is shameful and not fiscally responsible. It's disappointing to see council members whom I voted for act irresponsibly. If you think that destroying these guns is avoiding putting guns in the hands of criminals is ridiculous. No one can purchase a gun without going through the proper background check, as one of the council members so accurately pointed out. Can the city afford to throw away thousands of dollars simply because staff doesn't want to go to the trouble of selling the guns at auction or to a firearms dealer? I'm sure if you did your research, you would have found that any of the local gun dealers would be more than happy to either purchase the guns or sell them on consignment for the city. And if you think that all these big cannabis taxes coming into the city is sustainable, you're kidding yourselves. The city council should be better stewards of city's finances. As a taxpayer and lifelong resident of the city, I'm extremely disappointed for this course of action. I'm sure if you took a step back and looked at what you as a city council did, you would realize it was not the right thing to do. I only hope that this decision can be reversed before it's too late. And it's signed a Rio Dell concerned citizen. And that's the only comment that I received.
Thank you, City Clerk. And seeing no other hands raised, I will then move on to close public presentations and move to the consent calendar. Is there any council member who'd like to remove something from the consent calendar?
Mayor Garnes, I would remove item number 1, the approval of minutes.
Okay. And are there any other items requested to be removed? Any members of the public commented, emailed in wanting anything removed? Okay, hearing none. Is there a motion to approve items 2 through 5?
I so move. Woodall.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second by
second. Oh.
okay. Second by Carter.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Carter,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson,
Yes.
Councilmember Woodall,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson,
Yes.
Mayor Garnes.
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. Council Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
Yes, item number 1, I was absent from the meeting and would abstain from any vote.
Okay, thank you. So is there a motion to approve item 1?
So moved. Carter.
We have a motion. Is there a second? I'll second it. We have a motion and a second. Can we have a voice? All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, and aye. So that's 4, and Mayor Pro Tem Johnson abstains. So motion carries 4-0 and 1 abstention. Thank you. And now reports from staff, communications from staff. City Manager, page 28 in your packets. City Manager, we
Yes.
cannot hear you. Oh, okay. I didn't know if you were talking. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes, members of the council. So the mayor will be appearing on various radio stations through December, along with our partners from other jurisdictions, to be providing a infomercial on waste reduction during the holiday season. And that comes in participation with our solid waste local task force partners, which include all of the incorporated cities in Humboldt County and then the county itself. So you might just hear the mayor on the radio over the next month. So we did complete the interviews for our OIT position and the part-time utility position. We're fairly confident that we'll be able to make offers on those positions next week. The street striping was scheduled for the end of this week. But Apply Line found a window of time today while it's not raining to go out and paint our new roads. So Aloha, if you drive out that way to CC Market, you will see that there is new asphalt new markings on the road for that. And then we also put stop bars and various other miscellaneous stop signs and repainted them in various locations throughout the city. The good news that we do have is that we have been working with the State Water Board and having conversations back and forth regarding the Water Capital Improvement Project grant submission. So just some initial information based on that. The review has been completed by State Water Board staff for final submission to the state for that grant to be approved. There's probably about a 9-month timeline before we will hear final word on that. But based on the city's qualifications in that grant application, we are potentially eligible for a 90% match grant. So in other words, the city would put up 10% of that $9.5 million project, and the rest would be covered by the state of California. So that's really good news, but the details are yet to be worked out. And again, we will not hear finally on that for another 9 months or so. Rio Dell's Sidewalk Infill project was approved by the Humboldt County Association of Governments. So that's a $900,000 sidewalk infill project located on Center, Painter, and Ireland Street. So that's a major project that we're hopeful is approved for final funding with the state transportation board. And we have issued our latest roads project contract agreement with GR Sunbird for street patch repairs in various locations throughout town. Staff did submit the SB 1382 low population waiver request to CalRecycle, so it's been submitted, has not been approved yet, but those regulations come into effect January 1st, and we should have it approved by that point in time. And we are also working with GHD in terms of our sanitary sewer evaluation study. The timeline for that evaluation study is likely to increase, and it was expected to be completed 2022. The date that we're looking at right now is in 2023, so a one-year extension. However, we have some good news on the wastewater front in that we have been in contact with the state looking for eligible projects to get the ball rolling on. And so our Painter Street upsizing, which the council earmarked approximately $600,000 for out of the ARPA funds, we will be making application for that specific project, which has been wrapped into the overall SSES sanitary sewer study. But this is good news in the sense that the state has been interested in that potential project that would stands a good chance of being able to solve some significant deficiencies with the sewer collection system. So with that, I will return it back to the mayor and the council, see if there's any questions.
Thank you, City Manager. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
No questions, Mayor Garnes. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wilson?
No question.
Thank you. Councilmember Woodall?
I saw that we had our new Economic Development Director on board today.
Our new analyst has just started work. So we're hopeful to be able to bring him into the next council meeting for an introduction.
Oh, great. And then I have a question for Chief. Chief, I noticed that the calls for 355, well, is Chief on here yet?
He was.
I'm here. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't know if you were back. The calls for 355 Center Street have increased. And I was just wondering, do they still have a security officer? And if they do, should he be taking care of some of these, or are all of these legitimate for the police officers to take? Or could he be handling some of them?
I have not asked about a security officer there in a long time. If they still have one, I would be surprised. And I never did see the one that they supposedly had at the very beginning. It is my understanding that the manager does take care of some of the problems, but not all of the residents or the neighbors call the manager before they call the police. And so we often are the first ones to respond rather than the manager. And the number of calls is dependent upon a lot of factors. Often when there's a lot of calls, they all reference one or two people who live there who are having a harder time than the others.
Okay, I had just wondered about the security officer because I know that was one of the things we talked about when the project was first being developed. So thank you. I appreciate your information.
The other thing to take into consideration is that this time period covers 3 weeks instead of the normal 2. So the list is a little bit longer for that reason, that the time period is half again as long.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Councilmember Woodall. Councilmember Carter?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just wonder, Jeff, is there any update on that dog situation over on, what was it, 4th, I think? We got a report on it in our boxes. Oh,
that's on Gunnarsson.
Gunnarsson. Okay. Thank you. Is there any update, or do you know yet? Are you still working on it?
I had a call with the person who submitted that form. She had another incident with one of the dogs from that location, which she pepper sprayed. That information was turned over to the animal control officer. However, she's been relatively busy doing an abatement the last 2 days. And I don't know if she's had time to contact the offending dog's owners or not.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Are there any hands raised or emails regarding the staff report?
There are no hands raised at the moment.
And no emails.
Thank you. Then we will close that item. The presentation on climate action plan has been shifted. It's been pulled from this agenda and will be they were unable to be here tonight. And so we will, I believe, see them at our January meeting. So we'll skip over that. And we will move to discussion on city social media and social media policy, page 36 in our packets. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes, members of the council. Obviously, social media has been a growing trend, is now almost ubiquitous in communication with the public, both for businesses and the public sector. So Rio Dell currently does not maintain an official social media presence. So prior to 2014, one of the employees of the Rio Dell Police Department created a Facebook account that was used for a short period of time and fell into disuse shortly thereafter. So the city does not currently have an official social media presence. That being said, it is a very good idea to develop one and on multiple platforms, and so the issue here, though, is it's a little bit more complicated than just opening up a series of profiles. Ultimately, staff's recommendation in this matter is to first develop the social media policy. Virtually all of our neighboring jurisdictions have such a policy, and it is a pretty common, at least across California. So there's lots of examples to use. Attached to your packet is a pretty standard social media policy that we have seen implemented. For example, Eureka's social media policy, it looks somewhat similar to this in terms of its length and level of detail. So obviously, you get into, the good of social media and the bad, and then the relationship of where and, how the government, your city government interacts with the public through social media. That includes, potential censorship of comments that don't meet certain guidelines, or they're vulgar or threatening, those type of comments. We need to have a framework to deal with that fairly, while also allowing public discourse in that process. Again, over the years, because the speech is constitutionally protected, there has been, particularly over the last 4 or 5 years, there has been a lot of different case law that has developed relating to social media. For example, friend requests, how you handle those, can you deny friend requests, so on and so forth. It ends up getting pretty complicated to do this in a fair and equitable way that conforms with the law. So our effort here is just simply to make sure that we recommend to the council that we do this in the most appropriate fashion possible. Because there are also Brown Act implications for individual council members. We want to make sure that the council is well informed of that. That's going to take some time to figure out how to best advise the council in terms of those issues. And then obviously the social media policy would need to be reviewed by the city's attorney to make sure that we are in compliance with the law. But that being said, social media is a very powerful tool and it can be used for a lot of good. And more citizens are using social media as a way of learning about what their government is up to and learning about what is going on in their community. So, as the value and the attention towards traditional newspapers and whatnot is waning, social media is a pretty effective tool for engaging the public and receiving public feedback in terms of the operations of the city. So I am available to answer, any questions that the council may have, but the recommendation would be that you have staff go ahead and draft a social media policy that highlights some of the policy areas where the council would need to, weigh in and make decisions, and then return to the council with that for further direction. With that, I'll go ahead and return back to the mayor.
Thank you, City Manager. So I'll reach out to the council now. Councilmember Wilson.
He's getting there. Yeah. Do we have to add somebody on staff to manage this or administrate it? How do we? I know the other ones that I've seen that have them. There's administrators that are filtering all the things you talked about in the membership or saying the right thing or the wrong thing and making decisions on that. So do we need another staff member for this?
So through the mayor, I don't think we need an additional staff member. The PIO function, the public information officer function for the city, traditionally goes through the city manager. So the city manager issues press releases, handles press inquiries, that sort of thing, with the exception of law enforcement matters. So in the social media policy, one of the things that would be considered is, are we going to maintain a single source PIO? Would the city maintain one series of accounts, or would departments themselves be allowed to activate their own social media presence? And then how would that be governed? So those are some of the questions that we need to work through.
So I guess bottom line, there's still quite a bit to work out by staff to bring back to council. It could be it's a good thing, like, it would bring out information, but it could also be a lot of burden to the city staff to have to deal with it all the time. So I look forward to seeing what we come up with. I'm sure it'll get balanced out. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Woodall?
I think it's a good idea. I was wondering, I was looking, I only got home yesterday, so I didn't have time. So today I was trying to look up other cities that had social media. And like I looked up, I found, of course, Fortuna. The city of Fortuna has one. And also the police department has one. And they look very nice. I mean, they give you lots of information, and I really like them. I wish I would have had more time, because I'd still like to look up some of the other cities and take a look at them also. Let's see. I was wondering, Amanda, or Deborah, since you two brought up, and I know Amanda was talking about Instagram. Amanda, have you looked at any cities that had accounts on Instagram that you might be able to mention so that I might be able to take a look at them?
Yes, absolutely. When it's my turn to talk, I will be happy to tell you my sleuthing and deep diving.
Okay. And I think as long as we can work out the problems and that we're very careful. And I would also like to, I think I'll take a look at some of the cities and see maybe what kind of problems they have encountered. But I think it's a good thing to take a look at.
Thank you. Thank you. And now, Amanda, it is your turn.
Okay, brace yourselves. So I've been harping on this, so I'm just going to go ahead and own the fact that I'm the one who wanted this on the agenda originally. Kyle, I am fully on board with the social media policy that gets run through the attorney, because the number one thing I wrote in big capital letters is the Brown Act, and social media conversations absolutely can and do violate the Brown Act. So that's something we have to be very careful of. I have a lot of other teeny tiny little nitpicky questions that are probably more for a lawyer. So I'm not going to run through them here, but I probably will end up in your office later in the week. So I did look around on Instagram and Facebook, both at other cities. Obviously, I hit Eureka, Arcata, Ferndale, and Fortuna. They all have Facebook pages. They use them a lot to, give press releases, notices of public hearings. I saw Fortuna and Eureka doing that. Hey, we got this grant funding. Come to the meeting. Tell us what you think. The city of Eureka does something called Community Conversations that features local nonprofits, local business owners, things like that. It kind of reminded me of the COVID Minute that the Joint Information Center was doing there for a while. And so I thought that was kind of cool. And the other thing I liked about the city of Eureka's Instagram page was they would do calls to local artists. So for things like the utility boxes or murals, or I think the latest one I saw was for dumpsters. And so I thought, well, that's a great way to reach local artists and things. Just in general, one of the reasons I like the social media thing is that sometimes when we're applying for these grants, they want to know that we have public support for certain projects and things like that. And I think social media would be a really effective way to gather and show public support. Okay, the city of Ferndale did something very interesting. I also looked at, this was the same with the city of Petaluma, the city of Monrovia in Southern California, and the city of Bishop. Their pages are not listed as city of, right? They're listed as Visit Ferndale, right? Like that's their page. And so it's a little bit more tourism oriented. Another probably question for the lawyer, but I'm going to air this one out here just so everybody knows where I'm thinking. Does that change the rules, right? Because there's different kinds of social media accounts. You can have personal ones, business ones, or public figure / government pages. And then there's something else called a creator account that does actually get you around some copyright rules, but I need to look more into that. I'd be interested to know if a city page versus a Visit Rio Dell page would make any difference as far as, some of the legal gray areas and things. So Julie, look at Bishop's Visit Bishop page on Instagram. It was beautiful. The other thing I looked at for all these cities was the comments. I went through a lot of the pictures and just looked at how many comments there were. Very few on a lot of pages, including some of the bigger cities in Southern California, would have maybe 1 or 2 comments on a post. Now, this was true of Facebook and Instagram. And majority of those comments were, yay, looks nice, or thank you, or, pretty positive. When I went to the city of Bishop's Instagram pages, they had a lot of comments. I mean, from 20 to 75 comments per post. And I would say 99% of them were really, really positive. So I was happy to see that. The last page I'll direct people to is actually the Cal City's Instagram page. That one looks really good too. The thing I noticed about what they're doing is they're actually highlighting cities in the state of California, and Eureka is on the page for the Skywalk. They did give us a shout out. Because the city of Eureka has an official Instagram page, Cal Cities was able to tag them in their post. And what that means is that it basically creates a hyperlink where anybody who sees that Cal Cities shout out can then just click City of Eureka, end up right with the City of Eureka, and maybe they find out they want to visit or do the Skywalk or something. So it's a nice way to network and, get the word out there. And a lot of the things that we've been talking about, really trying to sell the city, attract businesses, attract people who want to buy homes, things like that. I really think social media is an important way to go about that. I know the dangers, and I know that the world is full of trolls and things like that. But I also think that it's just as easy to get trolled on the Lost Coast Outpost press releases that we put out as it would be on social media, provided that we are, sticking to our P's and Q's and we know the legalities and we're sticking to it. I think it could be a really nice way to bolster social engagement. And I've very much volunteered to do this and run this thing if that seems applicable. I was saying, just like Julie does all these beautiful flowers through town out of the goodness of her heart to help the city, I'm more than happy to help out or run a social media presence for the city just because I think it's important. So, and I think that's it. And that's probably the most I've ever talked in a single meeting. So there we go.
It was also informative and helpful. So good. You should speak more, apparently.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Amanda. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes, and thank you, Councilmember Carter, for all the education. I don't know a whole lot about social media. I probably read 6 or 7 Facebook things in my lifetime. Sounds like lots of great information, and with lots of information, I think the flip side exists for a certain amount of risk, and I think it's a tremendous benefit to the city that we really don't have to create the wheel here. We can mimic some other cities that have gone through the painful experience and maybe lawsuits and whatever, and have come up with really strong guidelines for how to conduct their social media. So I'm looking forward to it. And that's all, Mayor Garnes.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And I am fully supportive of it, of the staff going in and coming up with a good, solid policy for us to review. And I'm not really on social media. I mean, I look at other people's when I'm standing next to them, but I don't have a social media account. So, but I understand, and I think it would be really good. And one of the points that Councilmember Carter made was, and it was, I think, one of the most important points with regard to the city's benefit is when we're looking for a grant, they want to know if the city residents are behind it. And that's probably the quickest, easiest way to get that feedback. So that would be a very big deal for us, I think. So that's, I support the idea of it. I totally support Amanda in this, and I'm glad everyone else seems to be supportive. Are there any hands raised or emails?
Currently, there are no hands raised.
And there are no emails.
Okay, and so I think this is a direction. This is not a vote issue, correct, City Manager?
It is a vote. It is a vote issue.
Oh, it is a vote issue. Okay.
Yeah. So the recommended motion would be to direct staff to draft a social media policy and to return to the council for consideration.
Okay. Do we have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second, Woodall.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson?
Yes.
Councilmember Woodall?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
Yes.
Mayor Garnes?
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Now we will move on to the update on the Clean California Grant. City Manager, and that is on page 44 of our packets.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Garnes, members of the council. So on September 21st, the Rio Dell City Council met to discuss the Clean California Grant Program. And during that meeting, the council directed that the item be referred to the Beautification, Walkability, and Pride Committee for a recommendation for projects to submit for the Clean California Grant. From that recommendation, then staff would be returning to the council with the proposals and a plan to submit a grant application. And of special note is the timeline here, because we have a short one. The call for projects was just issued with final guidelines on December 1st, and submissions are due by February 1st of 2022. So pretty short timeline to pull together grant proposals. The committee met several times to discuss the matter. After discussion of many project ideas, the committee settled on a submission of 2 proposals. So first would be the Eel River Bike Trail proposal, traversing a right-of-way between Edwards and Davis Street along the river. That proposal has been submitted for at least 2 other grants, including a River Parkways grant that we did not receive, and then also a active transportation program grant application where the project did not score high enough to be awarded. The second proposal, which has not been submitted for previous grant proposals, would be enhancement to the Wildwood Avenue Gateway that would include uniform tree installations and exercise stations. So the bike trail proposal has been submitted for grants in the past, and the gateway proposal would need to be essentially created over the next 6 or so weeks for submission. And because of the tight timeline, staff is going to need some additional assistance from GHD in order to submit plausible grant applications. Even with GHD's assistance, staff is going to have to be involved in this particular project, and the Beautification and Walkability Committee, particularly around public engagement at the end of December through late January. We will need to be doing some public outreach and updating that component. And really, only the city and the council and the committee are going to be able to pull that together. So again, the Clean California Grant was a fairly new feature that the governor included in his budget. These are competitive funds. And I do believe that we have, 2 projects that potentially could be awarded. I don't know, really ultimately whether we stand a slam dunk chance or the opposite of that. But nothing ventured, nothing gained. So these are 2 worthwhile projects from staff's point of view. The council obviously has complete discretion in this matter. You can authorize the city manager to go ahead and execute the attached scope for work with GHD for both items submission, both the bike trail and the gateway enhancement proposal. That scope is attached to your packet. Conversely, you can also authorize only task 1 or task 2 to proceed, or neither. So those are, the full discretion of the council is here in terms of what to do with these particular project proposals. So with that, I will return it back to the mayor, see if there's any questions or comments.
Thank you, City Manager. Normally I would wait till the end to speak, but I'm going to just fill in some information. So the grant administrators, the people who gave the workshops on the grant, I should say, talked about that they really are looking at underserved communities and projects that would transform those communities, projects that would create more people coming in, better health for the city, better everything that's transformative for a city, they are looking at those. And so when we look at the Gateway, when we look at the Eel River Trail, those things would bring people. We know we've seen people, we've seen petitions. We want access to the river, but we want safe, clean access, and we want to be able to actually, take a walk or take a bike ride. And so those things would be transformative to our community, because they would not only draw people into our community, and which would then benefit the businesses in the community, it would also raise, hopefully, the health of our own community, because we would be out there exercising, walking, and taking in fresh air. So those things are really, truly important to them when they're looking at this grant. So that's one thing, and that I think helps us to be actually more competitive. And the other is last week, I think it was last Wednesday, I think, Senator McGuire had a town hall talking about the Great Redwood Trail. And he talked about the trail that's between Eureka and Arcata and how that's going to be connected. And then he also talked about, Rio Dell and Scotia and having to pass through here. And, if we can show that we have something now, a trail that we could actually use to connect, that's also transformative. That's also something that would be shown as a positive for us with regard to the grant, because you might have a choice of coming off the highway and going down our main street, or you would have the choice of going down a path, enjoying our beautiful river, our beautiful mountainside. So I think that we really have a chance. I think we have a better chance with this particular grant than we have had in the past, and with the ATP and the other grant application that was turned down. So I just wanted to put those two things out there, and just say that I hope that we can get behind both. We are having a meeting of the committee tomorrow, and we'll talk about, getting that public involvement, because we know we need to do that, and we know we need to do it quickly. So with that, I will go to Council Member Woodall.
Okay. When the ad hoc committee was first put together, I asked that night at the meeting, I said, will any of your decisions be brought to us before they're acted on so that we can look at them? And it was emphatically said yes. So tonight we're going to pick a project for the Rio Del Gateway beautification application that until tonight, I've never heard of any of the ideas. There's been time to bring the ideas to us, but they haven't been. So I find that problematic.
Julie, may I tell you something in the middle of that? This actual proposal, I'm just going to tell you about.
I would really like to finish. I would really like.
Okay, go ahead. No problem.
I knew some of the ideas because I listened in on the Zoom call, and I would say one thing I am not looking. I do not like the idea of putting on the Gateway project exercise equipment. I don't think that lends a beautification. As you come into the city, and most cities don't put exercise equipment on their main thoroughfare. But I mean, I could go for exercise equipment across the street at the Memorial Park. We're down on the bottom layer where they could be close together, where people could exercise without being right on Main Street. Also, I felt like this was more for blighted areas when they first started talking about it. I don't really feel like the Gateway is a blighted area, but the other ideas you had are great, the trees and everything. But I am disappointed that it wasn't brought, and it could have been, the Zoom meeting was quite a while ago. There could have been something sent to each of the council members saying what the ideas were. And I'm just disappointed that it wasn't, because Deborah, I think it was you that emphatically said that, yes, it would be brought to us before a decision was made. And at this point, if we approve it, this is the first time I've heard of any of the ideas that were presented. Now, I've said what I had to say. Thank you.
Very good, Julie. I apologize. I wasn't trying to cut you off so much as I was just trying to answer one of your statements. So I apologize if you felt like I was trying to cut you off, because I was not. But anyway, just to speak to that, I don't know if it was the last meeting or the meeting before, but we literally had this very this riparian recreational trail, Eel River proposal was in the packet. Is that not true, Kyle? Am I confused? Wasn't this very packet in our meeting and we actually talked about it? Or am I confused? I could be wrong.
No, the river is fine, Brooke. The river is fine. I understand that. We did go over the river. I'm talking about the beautification.
Oh, you're talking about the gateway.
The gateway. No, the river is fine. I think that is a wonderful project. There's no problem with the river.
Okay. So I apologize then that we didn't bring this properly back. It has been a time crunch, but you're right. We had a meeting in between where it should have been on. I apologize for not having it on. Especially if I emphatically said that it would be on, but
emphatic.
I know, I like that word. That's why I stressed it. And again, if I did do that, I do apologize that it wasn't brought. If you know, we want to take till next meeting to talk about it, I mean, I guess we can do that. It's just a matter of, again, it's a timing thing. So. That's all I can tell you, Julie. I can just apologize that I didn't have the gateway issue on the agenda. I do remember you asking. I do remember saying, yes, we would bring it back. Clearly, I might have thought we did, but, you know, clearly we must not have. So I have nothing. I have nothing but an apology. And if there's any questions you would like to ask me, right now, I will answer to the best of my ability. With regard to the exercise machines, it was not, how it's worded here wasn't going to be like a string of exercise equipment run down the center or on the sides. It was going to be designed properly and displayed in a manner that would be still attractive to the town. The idea is not to make things look crazy or wacky. So I do apologize for that, Julie. I'm not trying to sneak anything by you. I'm not trying to sneak anything by anybody. That's way more effort than I ever want to put in trying to sneak. So don't ever think that's what I'm trying to do. But so if there's anything else I can answer for you in this moment, I will answer for you.
Yes. Deborah, I know that the exercise things have, you know, you think that's important, and I do too. What would you think about putting them in the memorial park down?
Oh, I think that would, I think that would be great, because then people could exercise together and you could have, you know, you can have your group come down and have a conversation. I mean, that was actually not necessarily Memorial Park, but that was part of the idea that I originally had, was that, you know, as friends could meet up and exercise and you know, have their chit chats there while they're exercising. So I think that would be a great idea.
Well, I would be for that. And as far as the other ideas for the gateway, I think that's great. The other ideas, I'm all for. But it just bothered me to think of going down the gateway with exercise. And plus, if they're down below, I don't know about anybody else, but I would feel much better using them, not standing on Main Street where everybody was driving.
Right. Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor Garnes. Hitting the right button on the tablet, something we probably wouldn't have to do if we were held this meeting in public session. That said, I think I really support pressing forward with both tasks 1 and 2, and maybe modifying the gateway to include exercise stations in the Memorial Park. I think that's a great idea. That's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Wilson?
I'm for moving ahead. I don't know that I'm the one to be making decisions on beautification. I think we've got some good committee members, and I'm willing to follow their direction. So, but I'd like to see this move ahead. And anyway, that's what I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Carter?
Thank you. Frank, thank you for your vote of confidence. And I wouldn't sell yourself short on the beautification. You don't know. So I'm gung-ho riparian recreation trail all the way. That would be phenomenal. I second everything Deborah said about it really uplifting this community and letting us be a part of something larger that the state is doing. Love it. Maybe I'll learn how to ride a bike someday. I'm also okay with what Julie said about putting the exercise equipment at Memorial Park. One tiny question I had is when we talk about the gateway, are there multiple gateways to town? Like is Davis Street and, that could be part of a gateway, right? If we phrased it that way. I guess that's a question for Kyle.
Through the mayor, yes. The gateway, that's a good point. There are multiple gateways into the city, but the gateway traditionally has always been referred to as the twisty sidewalk area down Wildwood Avenue.
Yeah.
On the north end.
I do understand what Julie says about, feeling self-conscious about working out with an audience. Myself, I'm used to it, but I think that a lot of people might be a little bit more, more hesitant to get out there. But yeah, I would consider something like Memorial Park to be a gateway to town. Anyway, so to me, it still applies. And I do think the exercise equipment in a group would be nice. And there is a social aspect and I'll be down there. Watch out. But yeah, I'm a fan of both of these things. If we can maybe tweak the wording so that it's clear that the exercise stations aren't just like on the off ramp. That's it for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. I agree. I never thought of them there, so I
didn't either, but yeah. I see that's.
I can see. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, are there any hands raised or emails?
Currently, no hands raised.
And there are no emails.
Okay. Then we will, I will ask for a motion as soon as I find my piece of paper. I will ask for a motion to approve. I have moved my paper.
Mayor Garnes, if I may,
Yes, you may. Yes, please do.
Okay. The recommended action based on the discussion with the council is to authorize the city manager to execute the scope of services with city engineer GHD for grant submission, to return to the council with any needed budget adjustment for the cost of that particular scope. And then also that the submission for the gateway make sure that the exercise stations are located at Memorial Park.
Thank you, City Manager. Is there a motion? So moved.
Well, after I'll make a motion.
Okay. Thank you very much, Julie. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson,
Yes.
Councilmember Woodall,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson,
Yes.
Mayor Garnes.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Thank you, everyone. And now we will move on to my papers got all mixed up. Our final item, adopt resolution number 1513-2021, declaring the need for continued virtual meetings in accordance with AB 361, or adopt resolution number 1514-2021, discontinuing virtual meetings and resuming in-person virtual hybrid meetings. Page 49 in our packets. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes, members of the council. I'm going to turn this one over to our city clerk, Karen Dunham.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor and City Council members. So as the council's aware, in order to continue utilizing the AB 361 exemptions to the Brown Act teleconferencing rules, the council must make certain findings every 30 days and basically reconsider the circumstances of the emergency and determine if the emergency continues to directly impact the ability of the members to meet safely in person. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson pointed out that on page 50 of the packet, there was no number included related to the recent COVID cases in Humboldt County. And at the time of the agenda publication, those numbers were not available as they didn't update the website over Thanksgiving. So in looking at the numbers today, there were 14 reported cases in Rio Dell over the past week, and a total of 80 cases from Friday to Monday countywide, including 1 hospitalization. So with that said, the council, as the mayor indicated, has 2 options to consider: either to adopt the first resolution 1513, declaring the need for continued virtual meetings for another 30 days, or to adopt resolution 1514, declaring the need to resume with in-person virtual like hybrid meetings. And I want to point out that the masking order that began on August 7th is still in place for indoor spaces. So all participants in the meeting would be required to wear a mask during the entire meeting, regardless of vaccination status. So if you have any questions about it, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, City Clerk. And now I will go to the council. Councilmember Carter.
Thank you. Look, I would love to resume in-person meetings, but I am in a mask all day, every day at work. So my preference would be to leave it virtual for now, and hope that there's a day we can come back in person and without the masks on. And that's where I'm at.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
I wear a mask occasionally, and I don't like it, but I would rather have in-person meetings and wear a mask than do what we're doing right here, right now.
Thank you. Was that all? I said thank you, but I didn't know if you were.
Okay. That was it. Totally.
Okay. Councilmember Wilson.
I have the, through the day, wearing a mask for 2 hours in a meeting is going to be tough for me. But I also see the county supervisors are still doing Zoom, I believe. I know HWMA still is, RCEA still is. And the numbers that come out on the way they report these on the news, I don't think is an accurate picture. I saw what's happened at work, and it spread through the mill pretty heavy for a brief period of time. I went through our church pretty heavy at a time, and it's the social distancing to me that seems to be the issue, and the way we protect, at least I do myself. I'm not close to people at work. I'm in my office a lot by myself, so I don't have to interact, but at least through the holidays, because that's where it seems the pattern that moves is that people get in these social gatherings and they're getting more and more relaxed, and there's there's new things out. This new Omicron thing is out, and it appears to be spreading quickly, but it's not near as dangerous as Delta. It at least doesn't seem to be. But I would prefer to see it go another month with the Zoom thing, you know, and take another look at it in January and get a little more. I don't want to jump ahead and do something and end up catching it, but we do sit pretty close to each other up there on the dais to be really good social distancing, and also again back to wearing the face mask. It's hard to understand people. It's hard for me to breathe in the glasses thing. So to go the 2 hours is tough. So I would prefer to keep it like it is for at least another month anyway. That's all.
Thank you. Councilmember Woodall.
Well, of course, I think we should go back to regular meetings. I enjoy watching the Arcata City Council meeting where they're back in the council chambers. And also tomorrow morning, I'm going to my Humboldt Transit Authority meeting in person. And is there a possibility for my question for hybrid? Well, I guess with 3 of you out, I would understand. Okay, but I think we should come back also. Thank you.
Thank you. And I, of course, as long as I'm having to wear a mask and talk really extra loud, I prefer to do Zoom. And surprisingly, even to myself, I actually wouldn't mind going back to chamber. I kind of miss it, but chambers. But I do believe that while we're wearing masks, I prefer to Zoom. So we can, even though we know we have to do a vote, but I first have to ask if there are any hands raised or emails.
No hands raised.
And there are no emails.
Thank you. So is there a motion to adopt 1513-2021?
Is that the one for
declaring the need to continue virtual city council meetings?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second, Carter.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Wilson.
Yes.
Councilmember Woodall.
No.
Councilmember Carter.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
No.
Mayor Garnes.
Yes, motion carries 3-0. And we will revisit this, I believe, on January 4th. So now we will move to council reports. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
All I have to report is it was extremely successful time in Colorado. 3 elk were harvested by 5 hunters, and you can't beat 60%. So there will be some sausage made. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Woodall?
I have an HTA meeting tomorrow. I just wanted to mention that. And I wanted to ask, I had talked to Councilman Carter earlier today, and I wanted to know if we could possibly change our ad hoc meeting for the,
facade improvement.
The facades, yes. If we could change it until next week instead of Thursday at 1 o'clock.
That would be fine with me.
And I don't think that's we have to approve it or not. I think that's up to you.
Oh, I know. I just wanted to mention it, and maybe
okay.
Take a look and let us know what day would be good for him.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wilson? No. Yeah.
Is it Councilmember Wilson?
Yes.
We had an HWA meeting, and the former deputy director retired as of the 28th of November, and unofficially, and then so we have a new director coming in there. There's no meeting for December, and then RCEA is doing theirs a week early, November, December. And they're seemingly moving ahead with this offshore wind project, as well as some development on the bay. They're doing a big aqua farm down there where they're going to build out quite a bit of, they're going to use a lot of power, like 20% of what the county uses, just to be on the bay growing aqua stuff. And so that's I think it's a good economic development, as well as the use of the energy. The offshore wind project, as you'll hear as this thing will begin to move forward, has some pretty high potentials, like in the 150 plus megawatt type range, which is more, probably 4 or 5 times, 3 or 4 times what the county uses right now. And so they would actually be able to export energy from Humboldt County, would go out and export probably through a fiber cable, not a fiber, but a electrical cable through the bay and on across. Not sure where it would go, where it would actually transmit to. But there's big potential for that, having energy coming from our area. And as we talk about next month, having this, people talk about global issues with the climate change, the being able to harvest wind power that's out in the 27 something miles out in the ocean from land, and be able to harness that and be able to export it somewhere, that seems like a really positive development for power usage and supplement. So that's really all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember Wilson. Councilmember Carter.
Thank you.
There you go.
We have a beautification, walkability, and pride committee meeting tomorrow at 6:30. I didn't have any meetings in November. They were canceled because of Thanksgiving. So my only other report would be that, Gordon, I love elk sausage. I will trade you some sourdough bread for some sausage.
Nice. Nice.
Or cookies. It's that season.
I think you might have just moved up ahead of me. That's a problem.
Sourdough bread.
I'm going to offer you some cookies. I have cookies.
Up in the ante. Anywho, that's it from me. Thank you.
But nobody's.
Thank you. And I have nothing to report. Kyle already said that he did the PSA for radio stations, and I have a seismic meeting on the 16th. And that's all that I have. So I think I just need to ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved by Johnson.
We have a motion and a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And first, before I adjourn, City Manager, are we thinking the 21st or are we thinking January 4th?
We're thinking January 4th.
We have a little meeting next week, right?
We're going to have a special meeting next week.
Okay.
But I think at this point, there is no pressing issue that needs to be agendized. So staff will work with the mayor to make the final determination on the cancellation of the meeting. But I think it's highly likely.
Okay. So it's highly likely we'll see you on January 4th. Well, we'll see you next week, but a regular meeting will be January 4th. The likelihood is that's when it will be. And if not, you'll, of course, hear and get an agenda. So thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of your week, and see you next time. Meeting adjourned.